All right, folks, live edition of the Anik and Florian podcast today on Instagram. So I have hopefully followed the correct instructions to try to go live in a room with my guys Ray Longo and Kenny Florian. But see, I'm already in here and I don't see how to go live in a room. So hopefully my man Raymond Peter Longo will request to join me. But thanks everybody for checking in today. Obviously we were dark on Memorial Day. It was a scheduled day off. I was so goddamn sick that I probably couldn't have done a show anyway. But for the first time in about 18 months, I was hurting for certain. Couldn't even parent my kids. But you can hear it in my voice a little bit, but I am happy to be back. Was able to voice the UFC 263 pay-per-view yesterday. Hopefully the bosses don't have me revoice a lot of that stuff because, dude, I'm telling you, the voice was not there. Much love to all of you in the UK chiming in today. So we got a lot to get to. So much has transpired since we were last on the air. Of course, the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley stuff, but even a fight like Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez, which is now the main event for July 17th. I mean, you talk about a reason to stick around after Conor and Dustin on July 10th. How about Yair Rodriguez and Max Holloway over 5 rounds potentially? So that's a main event that has been announced since we were last on the air. So a lot of different things going on. That is Larry Bird shooting a basketball over my shoulder, by the way. You're absolutely right about that. All right, we can't go live in a room by clicking on that. Let's see if we click this. Nope, that's not going to work either. I'm trying not to swear today too, guys. We'll see how that goes. That has been a daunting proposition for me. But we await Ray Longo's request. My man Donovan Tarr checking in. Yeah, I got to stop cussing. I really need to control it with the swearing. I feel like my daughters are going to get their Instagram accounts in like 4 or 5 years and be like, oh, let me go check out daddy's feed. And they'll be like, not only is he talking shit about us periodically, but every other word is fuck. So we're trying to be a little bit better about that for the young fans on social media, but it's great to be with everybody today. This MMA news cycle is just absolutely nuts, right? Just how much transpires on a day-to-day basis. You know, I always used to say to Ken Flo, we've never been in a position to do a show 5 days a week because of our other commitments, but this news cycle is such that we could easily crack a mic every morning and have plenty to talk about. All right, it looks like Ray Longo has requested to get in here. God damn. No, I love you shin to the chin, but we trying to go live with Ray Longo. All right, so here's what I'm going to do here. I apologize for this. Hopefully my man Cody can clean this up in post. Longo, hit me with that fucking request one more time, okay? Hit me with that request one more time. Covington versus Usman 2. Has that been announced today? I have not been home today. If that fight has been announced, wow. But I'm not sure that that fight has been announced. But that's the fight to make at 170 pounds. You know, clearly Stephen Wonderboy Thompson did not feel like he was going to get a championship opportunity because he took that fight with Gilbert Burns before the fight between Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal was even announced, before that rematch was even announced. So, Longo, I love you, but hit me with that request one more time. This IG Live stuff, man. God damn it. All right. Go live in a room. Go. We got it. We got it. I say go live in a room with Longo, so he should be here any minute. Much love to all of you. Oh.
Come on, man.
Hey, last time we did this, it took me 5 minutes. Flip your camera around. Sunlight, I can barely see your face. So the last time we did this, it took me 5 minutes to get you in. Obviously, today it took only 3. So,
wow,
what's up, my man? It's nice to see you.
How we feeling? I heard you were sick. I was listening to you, but I couldn't see anything.
So there seems to be this public perception that men are very soft when they get sick. When men like you and me get a cold or a flu, we aren't as tough about it as our wives or our spouses per se.
Yeah.
So, you know, my wife has a cold too, but it's not like she's coughing up a lung and she's looking at me like, man, could I have married a weaker soul? And I'm looking across the room. I'm like, babe, like, I probably feel worse than you, okay? So, yeah, I'm doing better now, but obviously you can hear it in my voice. Dude, I got to tell you, man, Sunday, Monday was about as sick as I've been in my life. So I'm happy to be on the other side.
And not allergies, sick.
No, I mean, I could tell my son got something at preschool. And you know how people, maybe their breath smells like they're sick? I could tell when he breathed on me. I was like, oh, going to pay for that in about 48 hours. And sure enough.
Wow, man. And
so,
COVID didn't hit your mind at all? Nothing like that? You didn't get COVID tested?
So I didn't get a COVID test. I am vaccinated, which I guess is neither here nor there. I never had a fever, but the hot and cold, going from needing a blanket to being dripping sweat.
Oh man.
But yeah, the bean definitely got me sick. But enough about that. So it's great to see you. I don't know if our executive producer Cody Merrow told you, but the punch a hole in his fucking chest T-shirts went
Oh
live today and are now available on AnikFlorianPodcast.com.
wow. He didn't tell me.
So we did clean up the language a little bit on the T-shirt, but for those of us who have asked for that T-shirt for 6 months, I think the first request came in about 6 months ago. Somebody wanted a T-shirt with Ray Longo's face that said "punch a hole in his fucking chest." So we did accomplish that for you guys. Now you're sideways on me, so you
Oh
look
yeah,
better
sorry about
before.
that. Sorry, no, sorry. I'm just playing around with this thing.
That's okay.
I gotta
So
figure out how to get the lighting better.
you're definitely getting a cut of T-shirt sales, so we don't have to worry about that. It looks like Chris Weidman's doing good, but a lot of our commenters here are looking for an update on Carolina Chris. You got anything for us on Weidman's condition?
I spoke to him. I mean, I don't know. I spoke to him, I think, last week, but he looks great. He's walking better than I am. I don't know. I think he looks fantastic. What's going on so far is crazy. How far they've come with this type of thing. He's already, what was that, maybe a month ago?
April
And
24. Yeah.
he looks like he's doing fantastic. So that's hats off to him. And he sounded great last time I talked to him. So I do owe him a phone call, though. But, I kind of keep up with him on social media, I guess, like everybody else.
Right. It is amazing how much we can keep up with each other's lives on social media, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty close with Frankie Edgar and his wife Renee, but I've never met their daughter Valentina, but yet she had a birthday yesterday and I feel like I've seen the girl's whole life, So
Yeah. But
it is a powerful thing.
this is the problem with social media, because there's guys out there that don't know Frankie Edgar, that see something on Instagram Live and they'll lead you to believe they do know Frankie Edgar. You know what I mean? Like, when's Frankie fighting? Oh yeah, his daughter just had a birthday the other day. They don't interject that they never met the guy before, or
Right.
they
Right.
really. It's crazy. So
All
two-way
right.
street on that.
So I have a lot to get to with you today, as always. And again, I appreciate you making the time on a Friday. You got a private coming up at the top of the hour or what?
Oh, we got a busy day at the gym. Plus,
Right.
we got a big team dinner tonight. Should be good.
Ooh.
Big
Well,
team
that's
dinner.
exciting.
I'm
That's
sure you.
exciting.
Yeah. We're going into Brooklyn to Marab hooked up a Georgian restaurant, and I think there's going to be like 20 people there. It's going to be pretty crazy. Aljo flew in,
Oh, wow.
so yeah.
All right. Well, small request. We have an Anik and Florian podcast package that is supposed to arrive at the gym today. So if it gets there, maybe you grab a T-shirt and throw it on before dinner.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
something in the mail for you. Hey, Steve Lee,
Yes.
for those that don't know, has been a unifying force in your gym for some time. And as I understand it, he's fighting soon.
Yes.
I did not know that he was on a professional mixed martial artist's trajectory per se, but that's got to be pretty exciting for the squad and all the guys that he's supported professionally over the years.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, he's a big help at the gym, and he's really squared away, super well rounded, and hasn't fought in a while. But I'm psyched for him to fight. He had a great training camp. He's in fantastic shape. His cardio is off the hook. So yeah, everybody's excited to see him fight. And there's a couple other guys, Anthony Delemy, who helps out. He flew out to Vegas. He was in Aljo's corner for the fight. He's another kid who's strong as an ox, and he looks great. We have Luca Finocchio. He's from Italy. He's like a nanny over here, and he's become just one of the nicest guys in the gym. So we're excited about him. And we have little Chris Pereira fighting, who's another super talented guy. Aljo mentored him kind of in wrestling. He's like oh man, I don't want to get that wrong. A Uniondale kid, I think. I was going to say Roosevelt.
Okay.
Uniondale,
Right.
but another nice kid. So we got 4 really nice guys fighting for the amateurs. It's just good to get back promoting anyway, just to get out.
Of course.
Which is good. Then we have July 17th. We're going to have a lot of guys fighting too. Bazooka will be fighting. I think Dylan Montello is going to fight for a title. That's going to be a great card.
Trying to get to some of these comments. And again, we appreciate everybody chiming in here. If you do want the T-shirts, AnikFlorianPodcast.com. Sorry about no episode on Monday. I've heard from a lot of people who sort of do their handicapping after they listen to our podcast when they're looking at UFC Fight Night, Rosenstrike versus Sakai, which is coming up Saturday night. We only have 2 dark weeks a year, And we just felt like this was a good time to kind of step down and push the reset button. But we're jonesing to be with you guys too, and that's why we're devoting 45 minutes to you here today. And if you aren't able to join us live, this will be repurposed on the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel later today. All right.
What do we got?
So Tyron Woodley is fighting Jake Paul on a Showtime boxing pay-per-view on August 28th. And we obviously spoke at length on the podcast about Jake Paul versus Ben Askren and how small my appetite was for that matchup, how minimal I thought Ben Askren's chances were, and my desire to see Jake Paul, who has legitimate professional boxing aspirations. I'm not going to sit here and talk about his skills. I will talk to you about his aspirations. I will talk to you about his work ethic, because I do believe that there are plenty of fighters that Jake Paul is working harder than right now. But I can't speak to his boxing acumen necessarily. I just am happy that he is taking on a greater challenge, which certainly Tyron Woodley, in your estimation, would have to be. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. John, it is different. These guys are always look. The guy's not bad, right? He's a good, gym fighter. He's in the gym. He's got a couple of fights now. Definitely can fight. He can box. There's no question about it. I think for Woodley, man, is he willing to go into a gym and spar 2 or 3 times a week to get ready for this fight and get his brains beat in? That's the question. And I don't know if he will, but if he doesn't do that, this kid's used to being, if he's doing it right, he's used to being in the gym. That fight won't be that fight won't be a problem for him. He's not going to get outboxed in the fight. We know Woodley's got big power, but you're putting a 10-ounce glove on now, it's going to take away a little bit of that. And again, when you're in the gym boxing, John, you get hit with big shots all the time. It's not going to be the end of the world. He doesn't have that type of power where, sometimes you walk into a gym and a guy feels like he's got fucking bricks in his gloves. It's a totally different thing. There's a snap at the end of that punch, and that's what you learn to deal with going through that adversity. So
yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, if Tyron's willing to put that in, and really, be able to go 8 rounds throwing combinations, not one punch at a time, it'll be an interesting fight. But I don't think, I think everybody knows he's got a big right hand. I think with boxing, it'll be easier to take that away. You're not worried about kicks. You're not worried about takedowns.
Right.
And you also got to worry, nobody's getting out of there without getting hit. So he's going to be able to take a couple of punches too. And we'll see what happens. But normally guys that are boxing in the gym, this is not a big deal. You know what I mean? This is what they do every day. It's just another, fight in front of a crowd. And he's got a couple of fights now, so we'll see what happens. But it's not going to be an easy fight for Woodley, for sure.
Shout out to Matt Frivola, UFC fighter, his father, Sal the Bulldozer Frivola, chiming in on the chat, and he believes his son would wax Jake Paul, and I can't say that I would disagree necessarily, but I think you bring up a lot of points.
Well, I mean, there's an age thing too, John. You know what I mean? Tyron, he's getting older, man. It kind of sucks. I don't think any of these fights even make sense from that standpoint. Even the Mayweather fight, was there
that's an exhibition.
There's technically a 50-pound difference and a 50-year age gap. I mean, it's crazy. I don't even know if I'm the polls what that even proves about anything.
Well, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul is an exhibition, and it's about 45 minutes from my house, and I could go if I wanted to, and I don't have any interest in that. But I'll admit to being interested in what's going to happen on August 28th between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is not a professional boxer.
Yeah.
He's certainly a very gifted striker, undeniable power, I think, in certainly the right hand, if not the left. And certainly I think if he is willing to put in the requisite hours in sparring, and he's willing to pull the trigger, he could certainly dust Jake Paul inside of a round, as he has predicted. Done in one, as he said yesterday when they came together for the first time. But those who want to publicly discredit Jake Paul or wonder aloud, how does Jake Paul win? You want me to outline scenarios how Jake Paul wins? I mean, Longo just outlined one for you right now. If Tyron Woodley doesn't want to go through the sparring wars against a guy who seems to not just want to make money in Jake Paul, but he does seem to have legitimate professional boxing aspirations. Otherwise, I don't know why you bite off this type of challenge, The other thing I'll say, Ray, is that all these people who are saying that Tyron Woodley's going to dust him, and again, T. Wood's a good friend of mine. I've been to Ferguson, Missouri.
No.
I love the guy. My heart is with T. Wood. I'm not.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Don't tell me there aren't paths to victory for Jake Paul and trying to maybe gas T. Wood out or extend him or
or just use the boxing acumen that he has established over the years. I think there are a lot of variables in this fight. And again, Tyron Woodley, he's a minus 150 betting favorite right now. Jake Paul's plus 120. Most of the people out there who have these one-sided opinions, they're not putting their money where their mouths are, that's for sure, because the betting line is not moving.
Yeah, what's the betting line on that?
So T Wood's about a minus 150 favorite, and I talked to one guy this morning who says at his book they're getting two-way action. The bigger bets that have come in have been on Tyron Woodley, but they have gotten more singular wagers on Jake Paul. So it's getting two-way action. But again, the notion that, I think some people say Tyron Woodley minus 150, $15,000 to pay 10 grand, saying it's an easy 10K. Go put your fucking money where your mouth is then, because there are too many unknowns leading up to August 28th for me to put that type of money down on either side in this equation.
Yeah, and John, the thing you have to realize too, if you're used to making $400,000 or $500,000 a fight, right, in an MMA fight, somebody's dangling maybe $1 million at you, maybe more if you could sell pay-per-views. That's the problem. The money's dictating. Is Tyrone Wood is Woodley going to fight this fight for $150,000? Would he do it for $100,000? No. You see what I'm saying? Like, so there's guys out there would fight for $30,000 because they want to fight. So it becomes a money thing, and he deserves to get paid. But when you dangle that money in front of somebody, I think at this stage of the game, it kind of takes away the hunger that you might have. You know what I mean? And that there's a lot of issues with this. I don't think. Look, you could look at it this way. What if we just change one rule? Tyrone's allowed to take him down, right? It's over. The other guy's not going to wrestle for a month and be able to stop that guy's takedown. Just like this guy, and he's got to get in there. Like, I only hope that that Tyron is definitely, like when he was training for his other fights, was putting a lot of boxing rounds in. Like, I've seen Iaquinta box with professional fighters. You know what I mean? And I've seen Weidman box with professional fighters. It's a different thing, and they do great. I'd love to see Iaquinta take a boxing fight.
Right.
I think I would put my money. I'd bet my house on him. I really would. I'd love to see him do a fight.
But you wouldn't necessarily bet your house on Tyron Woodley in this matchup. Is that fair to say? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I don't know. I don't know Tyron. The last couple of outings, I wouldn't put my money on that. No.
So you said on the Anik and Florian podcast that you have professional boxers that you have trained that are in Jake Paul's weight class that you would love to see, obviously, get an opportunity to fight him because you think they would match up very favorably with Jake.
Oh no, I don't. I don't have any professional fights. I'm saying when I brought these guys up, I made them all spar with professional fighters at one time or another, just to get that feeling of you can't use your takedowns, you can't kick, you got to be able to take a punch and give it right back, and just for your awareness, for your mental toughness. I think it's huge. I think it's huge to do that. Like I would take Calvin Kattar over anybody.
Right.
What these guys.
I think I used the word professional. I meant amateur. You said you had amateur boxers who have been putting in the reps for 2 or 3 years that are solely focused on that discipline.
Yeah.
You
definitely had a couple of guys win the gloves and people that went to the finals. So yeah, very familiar with that end of it. But like Calvin, man, he's annihilating one of those guys.
Right.
If you get the weight class or whatever, getting somebody near his weight, because we know he tells us that's what he's doing every day. We know what he could do, and he proves it when he goes in there. You know what I mean? So
right.
You have to be putting the work in. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't put the work in, it's coming down to like a one-punch deal. You got to hope that you have one-punch knockout power.
And if you want to take the 10 best boxers on the UFC roster, guys like Jorge Masvidal, right?
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier is an outstanding boxer.
Without a doubt.
And again, maybe Woodley is closing in on that class. And again, gun to my head right now, I probably lean to my guy T Wood. But of course, for me, having bet on sports essentially every day since 1996, I'm not looking at the names. I'm looking at the numbers, right? So Tyron Woodley at minus 150 right now, no value, right? Jake Paul plus 120. I don't see a bunch of value there either. But my heart is firmly with T Wood, and I hope he gets it done.
Yeah, both of us, John. My heart is with 100% with him too. I just we don't know if he's putting in the work. Even when they brought Askren to Freddie Roach. Again, what is that going to do 3 weeks away from the fight?
Right.
And I love Askren. I think he's one of the most honest guys in winning defeat. I love the way he explains himself. I think he's just seems like he's just grown on me. I love the way he especially accepts defeats. He meets it head on. You know what I mean? There's no excuses, nothing. But he even said, I'm in the gym with that other guy who I forget who it was, but hey, I don't want to get killed. You know what I mean? Like he was very honest about it. I'm just here to get a feel for it. But no, you have to get killed. That's the only way you're going to learn.
Right.
Seriously, you're not going to get it any other way because these guys are young kids. I'm assuming they're in the gym banging it out with really capable guys. I don't know. Like I don't think they're not going to fold under the pressure of getting hit. You know what I'm saying? It's just not going to happen.
Well, and as I said on the podcast, I have had people from his camp reach out to me privately, just wanted to make sure that we at least acknowledge the work ethic, and they've sent me videos. And, there's no doubt that Jake Paul is putting in the work. I have a lot of UFC stuff I want to get to, but sort of a final thought on this. My twin brother, Jason Anik, he's at Boston Anik on Instagram, is chiming in here in the chat. He hosts the show with Bilal Muhammad on this channel.
Get him on.
Remember the show on Thursday nights. I guess I could probably bring him in right now. But again, he writes T Wood -150. Where do I sign? And it's like, but it's not like he's going to hop out of this chat room and go fucking place a bet on T Wood, right? So these are the people I take issue with, being like, Woodley -150. Go put your fucking money where your mouth is. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. It's very easy to type in, oh my God, how is Woodley not -400? Then place a fucking bet.
Yeah.
All right. So UFC 263 is 8 days away. And I think the fight that I am most interested in, obviously we have a couple of rematches for titles, but Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards for 5 rounds. And I think for somebody like you, given your background, this fight has to be pretty fascinating. Leon Edwards, prohibitively favored, as you might expect. But I think this is going to be a competitive fight. What do you think about Edwards and Diaz coming up here in a week and a day?
Man, I agree with. I think definitely super competitive. What are the odds on that fight?
I think Leon's about -250, -300 in that range. I can check.
Wow, that's a big.
It's a big number.
That's a big number. Yeah, I think that number's a little off, but and the problem is, when was the last time Nate fought? Was it at the Garden with Masvidal?
It was the Showtime Pettis fight.
Yeah. Oh, it was after that.
Did the Pettis fight precede the BMF fight? Yes.
It had to have. Yeah. So the last fight was that fight.
Right. So yeah, he had a fight with Poirier that went away. So we'll see. I mean, a lot of people in here obviously like Nate Diaz on the money line.
I mean, look, I'm a big Nate Diaz fan, so Nate and Nick. So my heart's always with them, and I'm gonna go with him. Yeah, I think that's a big number.
All right, DraftKings Sportsbook right now, it's even bigger than I thought. Leon Edwards is -500, Nate Diaz +355. So if you don't know what that means in the UK, if your odds system is different, a $100 bet on Nate Diaz will pay you $355. So you get your 100 back for $455. So $100 wager on Nate Diaz pays $355.
Unless they know something we don't know, that's a huge gap, man.
Well, when I'm analyzing a Nate Diaz fight, and a couple of our chatters have opined as much, you just hope the fight doesn't get stopped due to cuts, because inevitably Nate is probably going to get cut, and he's more than willing to fight through it, even though he might have a crater on his eyebrow, but I just hope there isn't something anticlimactic like the end of the BMF title fight.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point. I know Nick, back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, had like plastic surgery done around the top of his eyes to make it less sharp, so he wasn't cut, and it looked like that worked pretty good. Maybe, it's been a long time between, the Garden fight and this. Maybe he had the same thing. Who knows? But it seems like somebody knows something we don't know, because that's a unless the guy was a wrestler and we knew that he was definitely going to take him down. Yeah, interesting. I would put money on Nate Diaz for sure on that.
And again, we'll have a full UFC 263 preview next Monday on the Anik and Florian podcast. But I can't wait to see it play out. I mean, there's always something special when there's a Diaz brother on a pay-per-view. But Leon Edwards, man, is an absolute killer and still just so underrated. I think he's coming for blood. And I think for Leon Edwards, you have to look at this as a must finish, right? I don't think that dominating Nathan Diaz over 25 minutes is going to get you to the promised land. You have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson lurking. He's got to get by Gilbert Durinho Burns, of course. And of course, for Kamaru Usman, he's got to get by Colby Covington if indeed that is the fight that happens. But I think Leon Edwards needs style points here to make sure that he's the number one contender. You know, I don't think skirting by as a minus 500 favorite. I mean, you got to put Nate Diaz away if you're Leon.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. I mean, Leon Edwards, he's definitely fighting with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, they've done everything to really just mentally beat the crap out of this guy. So he needs, I do believe that he needs a big win if he's going to do something. And I think that's going to be really hard against a guy like Nate Diaz. You know, he's always in your face. And if you stand up too long with him, that'll be a problem. You know, he's got a good gas tank. I'm excited as shit for that fight.
Couple other things on UFC 263. Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. Obviously, they fought back in Phoenix several years ago. Now it'll be not far from there in Glendale, Arizona, and it will be for the UFC Middleweight Championship. How do you handicap this matchup? I mean, there seems to be a clear strategy for Marvin Vettori, I would think. What do you think we're going to see in the middleweight title fight?
Yeah, the first way you handicap is you don't talk to me. That's the first.
Right,
I'm just gonna go with the. I'm just going with the Italian guy. I mean, that's my handicap. Yeah. You know, leave me at. I'm not handicapping good at that. I always just go with the guys that I like or some weird thing. You know, most of the times. You know, but if I really had to break it down, Adesanya.
Well, that's why I asked you.
Yeah.
What kind of fight you thought we'd see, as opposed to asking you for a hard prediction, because that's the type of fucking guy that I am.
I think, I think Vettori's going to really press the action. I think after the Jan fight where, it didn't look like he had much on the floor, he's just going to look to, bull his way in there, get that fight to the floor. He looks like his gas tank's pretty good. He's had great fights leading up to this. He's in a good spot, Vettori. You know what I mean? And I think he feels like the first fight was close, but he even thinks he won. But yeah, he's gonna be. It's a tough matchup because I think he's gonna look to put him on his ass probably more than he would have even looked before that fight.
I agree with you there. Shout out to Yahoo Sports' Kevin Ioli chiming in today. He likes Leon Edwards against Nate Diaz coming up. If Jan Blachowicz fought Marvin Vettori, how competitive is that fight? Because I think there's an obvious comparison to be drawn stylistically in terms of what Blachowicz and Vettori would be trying to do in this matchup. Blachowicz realized great success on the ground against Adesanya. He was able to run some clock. He was able to shorten the fight, but stay active enough to keep the fight there. I think the question that beckons most for me is, to what extent is Vettori going to be able to control Adesanya on the ground from a physicality standpoint, if in fact he gets him there, which some people believe is an eventuality? That's a big question for me. Yeah, a lot of people saying Jan Blachowicz would whoop Marvin Vettori's ass. I'm not so sure. I don't know.
I think Jan's just too big for him, and like Vettori will give him the fight that I think that's a bad matchup for Vettori against Jan. A very bad matchup. Look, even Adesanya Adesanya looked good standing up against Jan, right? It was just when the other guy switched gears and started taking the fight to the floor that, maybe that wasn't the fight Israel was planning for, and that kind of caught him off guard because it looked like he was even acquiescent to some of those, to being on his back, which you're not going to win the round. So that was weird. But I think against Vettori, I think it's going to be hard to keep him down. I think you're bringing up a good point. You know what I mean? He's not going to have the extra 15, 20 pounds of muscle. Like, Jan is strong as shit. He's a big dude. I think that's a bad matchup for Vettori. I think the Adesanya fight's a way better matchup for him.
Eugene Behrman is one of the best coaches in mixed martial arts. There does seem to be an underlying arrogance to some of his comments about his athletes, though, and I try to say that with all due respect. But Eugene persuaded Israel Adesanya to take the Jan Blachowicz fight. And that was the verb that Izzy used with us in our fighter meeting. And it seemed to me like Adesanya, while wanting to challenge himself and join that illustrious club of UFC double champions, didn't necessarily have the appetite at that moment in his career to take that fight, but he did. We all saw the way it played out. So now I think it stands to reason that you're just going to get Adesanya at the height of motivation and focus, and I think you're just going to get a prime type effort out of him. But Blachowicz certainly showed you some things that Adesanya needs to work on, especially for a matchup like Vettori. So I think it's fascinating. The first fight was close. I didn't have it as a split, but I think it stands to reason that this fight could be close as well.
Yeah, and look, Marvin has gotten better. He 100% has gotten better. So is Israel, but more on the same type of path. We've seen him even in like the Romero fight where he could lay back a little too much. He's not taking chances. That's another interesting fight. What are the odds on that fight?
I would imagine Adesanya is probably minus 250 or so. I haven't looked yet, but I'm sure one of our outstanding viewers here will chime in with those odds in a little bit. And then, of course, you got the rematch between Davison Figueretto and Brandon Moreno. This one screams lay off to me as a gambler. I haven't even looked at the number. I would imagine Figueretto is minus 170 or so, maybe Moreno's plus 140. I love the fight. I wonder how they're both going to be able to survive 25 minutes again if the fight plays out similarly. I mean, you're talking about long-term damage.
Yeah,
what do you think about that rematch at 125?
I'm saying that fight's definitely not going the distance.
I don't think so either.
There's no way. They're coming out guns blazing, and there's no way that's going the distance. And they both got hit. They both got rocked in that fight. So that's another great fight, man. But yeah, I'm saying that fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. All right, and before I get you out of here, and then if you have some final thoughts, power to you. So Conor McGregor is fighting Dustin Poirier, and this one's coming up quickly, right? They're both sort of in the trenches in training camp right now, and it's sort of unique because their last fight feels like it happened not all that long ago, right? When we had that trilogy with Stipe and DC, you had a year between fights. Obviously, with Vettori and Adesanya, several years have expired since they fought each other. But I think a lot of people are wondering aloud how Conor McGregor is going to make the requisite adjustments here in a short amount of time if Dustin Poirier comes with a similar strategy. Do you have a lean for the trilogy fight between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier? And if so, what is that lean?
Look, I'm kind of with the people. I don't know what adjustments you make in a short period of time like that. And it looks like Dustin's just on a different, like he's just so comfortable now with fighting. And I don't know. I think he's got Conor's number now at this weight class, especially. It didn't look like, it looked like he ate his punches pretty easily last time. He did get hit, but he just walked through them. I think he's the volume guy, which is always a problem for Conor. Yeah, I see that kind of going the same way. But if there's anybody that can make the adjustments, it is Conor McGregor. I mean, hopefully he's still got that thirst and that hunger and the desire to really, go back to the drawing board and put the time in. But I think that looks like it's going to go the same way in my head.
I think an X factor always will be Conor McGregor's one-punch knockout power. And I think Dustin Poirier felt that maybe a little bit more than you let on one occasion in that second fight. But I think that's the great equalizer for Conor, right? Can he land that seminal blow in the first 7 to 9 minutes of the fight? Because if not, I do believe that a 25-minute affair favors Dustin Poirier.
No. Yeah, you're right. And he is going to land that punch. He's that good where he's got that left hand is a missile. Yeah, you think Dustin was hurt more than I let on to. Is that what it is?
I think so. I really do think that, and it's a game of millimeters, right? I mean,
yeah, no, it really is. No, look, your scenario is 100% on. I just think, once he's already been in there and he has taken that punch, even if he got rocked, he knows he can take it and come back. And I think it's going to be worse this time.
All right, so I lied. Last question. So I guess I've sort of wondered aloud, if I was to pick a UFC athlete in Jake Paul's weight class, if I could handpick somebody to go try to make this dude twitch on the canvas, who would I pick, right? Because while I'm excited that T. Wood is the guy, and I think he has a great chance to find that knockout shot, you're still talking about a guy who is 40 years old. And by the way, a lot of MMA and boxing handicappers, Johnny the Greek among them, when they're handicapping a mixed martial arts contest, the first thing they look at is age. And
why
40
not?
versus 25, right?
Yeah.
So, but if I were to handpick a guy to go in there, a lot of people are talking about Sean Strickland, and I am so happy, by the way, to see Sean Strickland get a UFC main event, I think, against Uriah Hall. I mean, Strickland, criminally underappreciated body of work. But yeah, I mean, there are guys like Sean Strickland who haven't been a UFC champion, who don't move the needle for Jake Paul enough so, yet are such a dangerous fight. There are a lot of people, yeah, Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, they feel like these guys in their prime go in there and absolutely, they recreate Jake Paul's face, essentially.
Yeah, no, they're 100% right. But the problem is, that's why I say these guys, what I tell you, they are smart. They're just smart with everything they're doing. For young guys, from a marketing standpoint, they're not taking those fights because what good is that going to do? They know they are really not. I don't want to say handpicking, but profiling their people really, really good, really good. Even
Yeah,
look, even the Mayweather thing, and we know Mayweather's just super talented. He's a little guy. Jake Paul's a natural 200-pounder. Like, this is exhibition. I wouldn't even let an exhibition happen. Like, it's going to be a real fight anyway. So
yeah.
you could bullshit and say exhibition. That's horse shit. You're letting. How old is Mayweather now?
North of 40.
Yeah, north of 40. I
Right?
mean, and the guy started his career at what, 130 pounds?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think somewhere,
Yeah,
yeah, I think
130
that's right.
pounds. This guy started his career. He's definitely not more than a 45-pounder at any, however you look at it. It just doesn't even make sense. That thing doesn't make sense at all. I mean, I hope Floyd just beats the crap out of him just out of principle. But they know how to move that needle. That's going to be a big money fight. The Woodley thing is a calculated risk to his favor, I believe, on every level. And yeah, the money's dictating everything. That's what I don't like about it. I think that was the concept of the show and win. But I think they should change it to you get 50,000 to show win and 1 million
Right,
to win. You know
right,
what I mean?
right,
Like make it a bigger gap.
right,
You know what I mean? Because then it's desperation. You have to win.
right. Floyd Mayweather is 44 years of age,
Yeah,
longtime
40.
supporter of the money team, hard work, dedication, all that stuff. But as Kevin Iole and other people know, I got into combat sports by hosting a boxing radio show and had a lot of time with Floyd in my sort of formative journalistic years. And man, did he treat us with a lot of respect, despite the fact that there were only 15 people listening to our radio show at the time. So I got all the respect in the world for Floyd. But again, that's an exhibition. They're not going to announce a fucking winner. So it's hard for me to want to spend a whole lot of time of that. Kevin Iole chiming in. He's seen Floyd Mayweather hurt a heavyweight in sparring. I would like nothing more than to see Floyd go out and knock out Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So let's be clear about the Paul brothers. And I know people don't want to hear this narrative, but they're both working exceedingly hard. They're both in great cardiovascular shape. And at least for Jake, he's fighting Tyron Woodley as an underdog. And a lot of people didn't expect him to take that fight. You're right that it's strategic. You're right that T. Wood is 40. You're right that he's not fighting Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
But he's still fighting a guy against whom he will be a betting underdog. He's still fighting a guy with 5 UFC titles at home. And if he can beat Tyron Woodley in a boxing setting, it certainly says more to me about his boxing ceiling than beating a guy like Ben Askren, who never really cared to develop anything resembling boxing skills.
Yeah. 100%.
So,
100% on that.
all right.
That's
All
it.
right, we got to get on out of here. So what do you got going on this weekend? You guys got a live event?
No live event this weekend. Again, big team dinner tonight in Brooklyn. I'm sure that's going live on something. I think Marab's got something planned with that. And that's it, man. Looking forward to sitting down and watching fights. 1 week, man, I'm like a crack addict. Didn't even know what to do with myself. What do we
See,
do?
it's
There's no
so
fights
funny,
on.
right?
What was that?
I have a little bit of that in me, sort of bemoaning the fact that we didn't have a live event on Saturday night, but I kind of was leaning into the other side of things, being like, hey, man, it's nice to have a little respite. Not for nothing. I got 3 kids under 10 that take up a lot of time as well. This weekend, it's UFC Fight Night, Rosenstrike versus Sakai, wall to wall on ESPN Plus, heavyweight main event. You also got Walt Harris and Marcin Tybura in the co-main. Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Caramel Thunder, Miguel Baeza. Sneaky deep card. Tanner Bozer and Alir Latifi on the prelims. Mason Jones is back. Excited to see him against Alon Patrick. So that's your fight night this weekend. But I'm excited to get to Arizona. And I will be ordering the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul pay-per-view for $49.99. And
And that's what night is that, John? That's this weekend, right?
It's actually Sunday evening. So I will be ordering that. And, you know, I mean, I'll probably bet on some sort of proposition, maybe Floyd by knockout or something. But
no. Floyd's gonna. I mean, the talent discrepancy is just so huge. Even with the age and everything else, I just don't like how big the other guy. He's just too big,
yeah, right.
you know. But like again, like Kevin said, and I'm sure that's 100% true. I'm sure he's more than capable of hurting 200-pound guys in the gym. I think he's that good. And those punches will come out of nowhere, and it'll be a different. You know, it's hard to get sparring, you know, for a guy like Floyd Mayweather because the speed and his defense is so freaking good. That,
right.
You know,
Right.
so but power to him. Look, it's like a dream come true. If you want to fight, this is a dream come true for Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whichever. You know, it's crazy. Who wouldn't want to? Who wouldn't want to? Because really, if you look as an exhibition, it's a sparring session. Who wouldn't want to do that? You know, plus
Of course.
for an exhibition, they're going to get paid huge money. So.
Well, and I will say that it feels like such a farce to me with this exhibition word. I mean, people are asking me the betting line. Like Logan Paul right now is plus 800 to beat Floyd Mayweather by knockout in a boxing setting. And to me, I feel like even though Floyd's 44 and undersized, shouldn't Logan Paul be like 20-1 to win by knockout? But, you know, I guess he has a better shot to knock him out than I think. I don't know.
We'll see. We're gonna tune in though.
Yeah, a lot of people think Mayweather's going to get the job done tonight. Yeah. Hey, real quick, Boston Bruins with a 2-1 lead on your New York Islanders in the best of 7. So we're going to have fun with that if that series continues and goes long. I know Brian Boom Kelleher is a huge Islanders fan. And I know some of our ESPN MMA producers, Jake and EB, were in the building last night and saw an Islanders loss. So hopefully the Bees can keep it going. Yeah. Vegas Golden. Kevin Iole chiming in on the Vegas Golden Knights. I might have to bet the Golden Knights tonight. They need a win in the worst way. I think I'm going to ride with them. All right, Ray. Hey, thanks, my man, for stepping up. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look at these comments. Are pretty cool. I'm not used to any of this shit, but
shout out to my guy Steve Mays,
my angel for life.
Ray, I don't know what the dress code is at this restaurant for this Team Sarah Longo dinner tonight. But if you do get our Anik and Florian podcast gear in the mail and you want to give some away to the higher profile celebrities at this stage, don't be afraid.
That's big stuff. I hope it comes out. I'll be running down to the gym, waiting by the door for the mailman. This is crazy.
Hey, have a great week. I will talk to you bright and early on Monday morning, and it's good to see your face, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at these things as I'm talking to you. I love you too, Angel for life. I can't see. But anyway, yeah, it was great, John. Thanks, man. I think I was a little flat today, but we'll make up for it on Monday. We'll make up for it on Monday.
Dude, we will take a flat Longo over a bubbly anybody else. So thank you. I mean, you see all the love for Ray Longo in here. You're a fucking legend. Have a good day.
I'm intimidated by social media. I don't even know how to act. I'm glad I even got on the call. It's a big accomplishment for me.
We made it work. And technically, we'll probably be even better next time. Hey, have a good week. Have a good workout. I'll talk to you on Monday, kid.
You're the best, buddy. Thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you.
P3, the official protein snack.